Welcome to Smart Wealth with Joshua.
Your daily stock analysis and catalysts talk. Today, we're looking at Psyence BioMed.
If you find our talks useful, please consider subscribe, like, and comment underneath to support our podcast. And if there's any stock you want us to look into, leave it in the comment section below.
So let's get into the analysis.
Okay, so this is a clinical stage biotech. And I think that's the most important place to start because you can't judge it like a normal company, right?
Not at all. There are no sales, no commercial products yet. It's all about potential and the financial foundation to reach that potential.
Right. And when you look at the GAAP earnings per share, it's, what, around negative $2.11?
Yeah, something like that. And that number, it can scare people off, but it's actually exactly what you want to see.
It shows they're spending money.
They are spending aggressively on R&D, on the trials. I mean, that's their entire business at this point.
But the only reason they can do that, and this is what really stood out to me from the balance sheet, is that they are completely debt-free.
Zero outstanding financial debt, which for a microcap biotech in this environment is, well, it's a huge structural de-risker.
It's insulation. They're not at the mercy of credit markets.
Precisely. It buys them time. And in biotech, time is everything. They also have a pretty strong cash position, somewhere between 9 and 11.4 million.
So they have a runway for multiple quarters. They're not backed into a corner, forced to raise capital at a bad price.
Exactly. And that leads to how they raise capital because they are burning cash. That's the strategy.
Yeah, they're free cash flow negative. So how do they handle that without just crushing shareholders?
Well, they use this thing called an equity line of credit. And the key here for you as an investor is that it's flexible. It's not one giant stock-crushing secondary offering.
So they can draw on it when they need it.
Better yet, they can draw on it when they have good news to announce. They raise money when the story is strong, which minimizes the dilution and the negative pressure. It's strategic, not desperate.
Okay, so the foundation is solid. Debt-free, decent cash, smart financing. So what are they building on that foundation? Let's talk about the pipeline.
Right, because that's where the multi-bagger potential comes from. And it's not just one bet. It's 3 very different shots on goal.
Spreading the risk.
Exactly. First, you've got their main clinical program. That's the phase II psilocybin-assisted psychotherapy trial.
Which is already enrolling patients in the UK, right?
It is. It's targeting difficult mental health and CNS indications. This is sort of their core, their closest to market asset.
Then you have the real high-risk, high-reward play. The glioblastoma program.
Absolutely. This is the ultimate moonshot. Glioblastoma is just a devastatingly aggressive brain cancer.
And a huge unmet need.
Massive.
Yeah.
And there's already been prior data suggesting a signal of efficacy. If they get a real win here, the current market valuation becomes irrelevant. The stock would just transform overnight.
So you have mental health, you have oncology, and then you have this third leg of the stool, which to me feels like the real strategic differentiator, the psilocybin longevity program.
This is the curveball.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. They are, as far as we can see, the first listed company that is systematically studying psilocybin's effect on the actual markers of biological aging.
You mean things like inflammation, cellular stress?
Exactly, mitochondrial function. They're positioning themselves to capture the upside from the huge emerging theme of longevity therapeutics.
So they're not just a psychedelics company anymore.
They're hedging. They're tapping into a whole new pool of capital, a whole different set of investors who are focused on lifespan extension, not just mental health.
Okay, so that diversification is key. Let's move to the competitive moat.
Yeah.
What stops someone else from just doing the same thing?
The moat has a few different layers, and it starts with something that sounds boring but is actually critical.
Supply.
GMP compliant supply. Can you break that down for us? Why is that such a big deal? So GMP, good manufacturing practice, is the gold standard that regulators require. You can't use just any material in a human trial. It has to be pharmaceutical grade, pure, consistent.
And that's hard to get.
It's one of the biggest bottlenecks in the entire industry. It's expensive and time-consuming. By investing in Psylabs, they've secured their own supply of both psilocybin and ibogaine. They control their own destiny there.
And with ibogaine, there's an ethical component too, right? With benefit sharing and...
Right. And in a field as scrutinized as psychedelics, that's not just nice to have. It's crucial regulatory and reputational capital. It builds goodwill and shows they're a serious long-term player.
Okay, so supply is one moat. What else?
The other big one is technology. They've launched an AI-driven drug development initiative.
Now that can sound like just marketing buzzwords. What does it actually do for them?
Well, the goal is to compress timelines and reduce risk. The AI can help them design better trials, maybe identify which patients are most likely to respond. For an investor, that means a higher probability of success and a faster path to getting there. It's a real technology moat.
So let's connect all of this. The
Yeah.
clean balance sheet, the diverse pipeline, the moats, back to the stock price.
Mm-hmm.
Because there seems to be a big disconnect. The stock is volatile.
Very volatile. You're seeing weekly volatility around 22%, sharp drops.
Yeah.
But that volatility creates the opportunity. The key metric here is the price-book ratio. It's trading at around 0.49.
And in simple terms, what does a PB of 0.49 mean?
It means you could, in theory, buy the whole company for about half of what its assets are worth on the books.
Wow.
It's a flashing red light for contrarian investor. It suggests the market is pricing in a very high chance of total clinical failure.
So the downside is kind of already priced in.
Yeah.
But the upside from any win is not.
That's the definition of high convexity. A little bit of good news could cause a huge disproportionate re-rating of the stock because it's starting from such a discounted base.
And we're already seeing some analysts project that, with short-term targets suggesting, what, a 64% upside potential.
Yeah, from recent levels around 158 up towards 259. Now, technically, the price is below its short-term moving average, which is bearish. But this is what we call a bullish setup in a bearish regime. The fundamentals are screaming undervalued, even if the daily chart looks choppy.
Okay, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. This is still biotech. What is the number one risk here?
Clinical and regulatory execution risk, period. Phase IB trials fail all the time, even promising ones. The whole story hinges on getting positive data. If the trials fail, the stock will get hurt badly.
But you'd argue that risk is somewhat mitigated.
It is. First, by the 0.5 times book value valuation, the market is already skeptical. And second, by the multi-indication pipeline. A failure in glioblastoma doesn't kill the mental health program or, more importantly, the longevity platform.
It's not a single point of failure.
Exactly. It's not an all-or-nothing bet on one single trial.
So for listeners watching this over the next, say, 3 to 6 months, what are the key catalysts we should be looking for?
The most immediate thing is trial progress. You want to see updates on the enrollment pace for the Phase IB psychotherapy trial. Fast enrollment is a good sign.
And any news from the glioblastoma trial?
Any activity milestones there would be significant. But the one I'm really watching for is a potential surprise catalyst.
The longevity program?
Yes. If they release any early data on those biomarkers, inflammation, mitochondrial function, and it looks good, that could attract a whole new class of specialist longevity investors. It could change the entire narrative around the company.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this all up. What's the final thesis here?
Look, Psyence BioMed is a high-convexity, multi-year call option. You are betting on the convergence of three massive trends: psychedelics, longevity, and AI in drug development.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart. The volatility is real.
The volatility is real, but the risk-reward profile is strong. It's trading so cheaply relative to its balance sheet and its huge long-term potential. You just need to have a multi-year horizon.
So the takeaway for you, the listener, is that while this is a long-term story, maybe 3 to 7 years, you have clear guideposts coming up in the next 6 to 18 months. Those clinical updates are your decision points.
And pay very close attention to that longevity data. That could be the catalyst that makes everyone else wake up to the story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to stay updated on our market insights.